Hello and welcome to this masterclass on self-belief. My name is Renee Kacz and I'm going to be walking you through this masterclass. So let's get the party started. Why am I here presenting to you today? Just a little really quick background in case we haven't met before. So I'm a former lawyer. I was a corporate and commercial lawyer, and I really loved the law. I loved what it taught me. And it also showed me that I'm someone who challenges the status quo. I'm really entrepreneurially minded, and I've used that knowledge that I gained from working in law to really give me a solid grounding and basis in business. And so how I work now, I'm a strategic business coach, and I'm also a public speaker. So I really love to work with female business owners to help them grow profitable businesses that they love, businesses that are truly aligned with their highest values. And there is something that you might not know about me, particularly if you've seen me speak publicly. I was a massive self-doubter. I really, really did lack self-belief when I first launched my business. And, I didn't really believe in myself, in my ability. It really held me back. And that was that was one of the greatest obstacles I had to overcome in building my business. And, I was really thinking small. And when you think small, then you expect small of yourself. And the results I was producing were pretty small. And then I sort of went about things the wrong way, was working really hard and not smart, burnt myself out. And it really brought everything crashing down and made me reassess everything. I really struggled getting myself out there. I hated networking events. I love public speaking. I love getting out there and meeting people. But when I first launched my business, I hated it because I didn't have that self-belief or the belief in what I was doing or in myself. So, that was such a massive obstacle. And what I did after I'd burnt myself out, I really got to studying what makes the greats great. And time again, at the core, it comes down to the same thing: self-belief. And I created a system that I've implemented. It really works for me, and it helps me take my business and continue to grow my business and take it to the next level. And I help my clients with this, and it gives them unstoppable self-belief. And I'm going to share that with you today because it's so important. So before I jump into it, I just want to really bust a myth around arrogance. So I know there's a fine line between self-belief and arrogance, but I think even just the concept of arrogance, we've really got it wrong in our society today. And, I say this with love and respect, but I think, we've definitely got it around the wrong way. You might hear someone say, label someone else as arrogant when that person holds themselves out to be able to solve a problem for someone. But that, to me, is actually backwards. If you're able to solve a problem for someone, which, let's face it, that's what your business does. It's a solution to problems. And if someone could use your business to solve their problems, I think it's arrogant not to offer the solution to that person. And if you go back to basic economics and resource allocation, it's a waste of resources to not tell people that you can help them. So let's look at it like this. Someone's got a problem, so they're suffering, essentially. You have what it takes for them to no longer suffer. You can take away that pain. You can take away that suffering for them. So it's your duty. Yeah, it's your duty to get out there and tell people about how you can help them, how you can take away that suffering. And I think we're required to do that. Like, even if you're taking it to an even deeper level, looking at it at like a human, the human population, and how we need to be helping people more, because there's so many people in suffering and we've got solutions to these problems, but people need to know about that. So that's my take on it. And I really want to help you to overcome that lack of self-belief if that's something that you're suffering with, or at any level. I think it's something we can always use to boost, so that you can really get yourself and your business out there and make a massive impact. So I'm going to share with you today the 5 steps to creating unstoppable self-belief. I really love this quote from Robin Sharma because, that's what we're really going to go deep on today. So to double your net worth, double your self-worth, because you will never exceed the height of your self-image. And this is really the key with self-belief. If you're not believing that you're worth much, or not seeing that in yourself, you'll never be able to create it. Self-belief is the single most important skill to hold in business. And it's like a muscle. And, that can be built, and it must be built so you can create the kind of success that you dream of. And however that looks for you, I use the word success. That doesn't necessarily just mean financial success. It's however a successful business looks for you. So if it means making 40 grand profit a year but having time freedom, awesome, then that's success, if that's what it means for you. Or if it means having a multi-billion-dollar business, fantastic, then that's success. I don't really care what it looks like for you, but it's whatever it is for you. And you need to have that self-belief to be able to create that. It's the core, it's the basis, it's the foundation. It's really got to be developed so that it's not something that it's something that then when you really develop that self-belief, it moves through you. It moves through your mindset constantly. It's there as a basis, and you'll begin to see unparalleled results throughout your life. And, you see people create amazing businesses, and I think it's really interesting looking at some of the most successful people, because they're not necessarily the most intelligent. I mean, let's face it, we probably all know someone who's running a business and you're like, for realsies, how have they got to where they are? Like, I know them. They're not an outstanding person. You don't have to be the most amazing person. You don't have to be the most intelligent person. You don't have to come from a specific background or anything like that. That's what's so amazing about business. But what you do need is grit, determination, and above all else is an unwavering self-belief. That is what's going to get you through the hard times. So today I'm going to share with you the 5 steps to creating unwavering self-belief. Step 1, visualization. Now, if you've seen me speak before or attended one of my workshops, you've probably heard me talk about the power of visualization. And that's for a very key reason. I'm not aware of many conscious, serious neurological change processes that don't utilize the power of visualization. Now, that's for a good reason. Our brain can't tell the difference between what we physically do and what we imagine. And science has shown us that with, brainwave activity monitors. So I just want to quickly share with you the power of visualization. And I'm going to share a quick story. And we've heard a lot of stories from people who get through really tough situations using the power of visualization. So the story I'm going to share, it's actually an excerpt from Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning. And if you're not familiar with Viktor Frankl, he was an Austrian neurologist and a psychiatrist. He was also a Holocaust survivor. And I know this is an extreme example, and I don't use this lightly. I share this with deep love and respect. But I just think this is a really powerful excerpt because it shows that even in those extreme situations, how we can use something like visualization to get us through something so horrific. And here's what he writes. We stumbled on in the darkness, over big stones and through large puddles, along the one road leading from the camp. The accompanying guards kept shouting at us and driving us with the butts of their rifles. Anyone with very sore feet supported himself on his neighbour's arm. Hardly a word was spoken. The icy wind did not encourage talk. Hiding his mouth behind his upturned collar, the man marching next to me whispered suddenly, "If our wives could see us now, I do hope they're better off in their camps and don't know what is happening to us." That brought thoughts of my own wife to mind. And as we stumbled on for miles, slipping on icy spots, supporting each other time and time again, dragging one another up and onward, nothing was said, but we both knew each of us was thinking of his wife. Occasionally I looked at the sky where the stars were fading and the pink light of the morning was beginning to spread behind a dark bank of clouds, but my mind clung to my wife's image, imagining it with an uncanny acuteness. I heard her answering me, saw her smile, her frank and encouraging look. Real or not, her look was then more luminous than the sun which was beginning to rise. A thought transfixed me. For the first time in my life, I saw the truth as it is set into song by so many poets, proclaimed as the final wisdom by so many thinkers, the truth that love is the ultimate and the highest goal to which man can aspire. Then I grasped the meaning of the greatest secret that human poetry and human thought and belief have to impart. The salvation of man is through love and in love. I understood how a man who has nothing left in this world may still know bliss, be it only for a brief moment, in the contemplation of his beloved. In a position of utter desolation, when man cannot express himself in positive action, when his only achievement may consist in enduring his sufferings in the right way, an honourable way, in such a position man can, through loving contemplation of the image he carries of his beloved, achieve fulfillment. For the first time in my life, I was able to understand the meaning of the words, "The angels are lost in perpetual contemplation of an infinite glory." So it's a very beautiful, very, very powerful piece. And that last half was really about the power of visualization and how even in a time so extreme, and I can't think of something more horrific than being in a concentration camp and, being in that really horrific situation, yet he'd use the power of visualization where outwardly he couldn't show his enjoyment. He couldn't show how he was feeling or that love that was welling inside of him. But he was able to really enjoy the bliss of thinking of his beloved and dwelling in that. And that is what Frankl attributes to being able to survive the Holocaust. So visualization is very powerful, very important. Now, if Viktor Frankl and other Holocaust survivors and other people who've survived horrific circumstances can use it in such an extreme situation where they don't have certainty around their next meal, they don't have certainty around whether they're going to live another day. Think of what we can do when we have our basic needs met. We've got food, shelter, clothing. We've got those core necessities covered. So how powerful is that for us to use visualization and where we can use it to propel our businesses and our lives and how much we can get out of it? So I just share that with you. I think it's so powerful. So even Einstein said that imagination is more important than knowledge. And I think that I'll say firstly, if you do nothing else from what you listen to today in this masterclass, which I'm sure you will, but if you do nothing else, please just implement it into your life because it will make drastic changes for you and for your business. So what we've seen is the power of imagination, and one of the areas where you can see it used so well is in elite sports. You've probably heard that saying that the game is won before it's even started. And this comes down to visualization. The players imagining themselves doing what it takes to win that game. And running a business is exactly the same. Look, we don't need to reinvent the wheel either. We can look to great masters of the world who are doing amazing things and applying certain principles that have been proven for thousands of years that we know work. And one of these principles is visualization. We see the greats using it. We see, the great players of all time, the great sports people of all time using it. So we can use that in our business because we're elite performers as well. What we know works is visualization. So seeing yourself as having achieved what you'd like to achieve, being masterful in the way that you serve your clients and customers, and creating a success for yourself that deep down you're capable of. So think like a master. Look at what masters are doing and how they're creating mastery in their lives, no matter whether it's they don't have to be business people, and use that to help master your craft. Now, visualization and self-belief. So how does visualization affect your self-belief? So when we first see, feel, and expect a certain outcome for ourselves, then we start to believe it. We start to believe it's possible. And what you believe is what's going to drive your actions. When you believe and feel that something will happen, you turn on this part of the brain that's called the reticular activation system, or the RAS for short. And the RAS is the system of the brain that, when you were younger and you might have played that game Spotto in the car and you look for those Volkswagen, the Beetles, those like old Beetle cars. and you play Spotto with like your brother and sister, or anyway, maybe that's just my family. We did that. As soon as you start playing it, you start looking for those cards. You see them everywhere because you've turned on that part of the brain that makes you alert for that. And that's exactly what happens when you visualize. So when you start to, let's say you're visualizing achieving a massive milestone in your business, then by visualizing that daily and seeing it, you actually then start to look for the opportunities. You're not doing it consciously, but your brain, that RAS is turned on. Your reticular activation system is on, and it starts actively looking day to day, in the people you meet, in the things that you're doing, in seemingly random circumstances. Your brain is looking for ways to achieve that milestone, because when there is a gap from where you currently are to where you visualize yourself to be, your brain wants to close that gap. And so that's how it uses the RAS to do that. And so you could say it's manifesting, and maybe to a degree it is. Maybe there's an energy that gets put out as well. But it's also using this power of your brain that you have. We all have this latent power there, and it seems a real shame to waste it. So how do you do this? How do you visualize? Now, what I would really suggest, and I say this with love and respect, is to spend the first 5 minutes of every day, setting up a routine for yourself where you use visualization. And to use it is you're seeing yourself creating a greater level of success for yourself in any area of your life. And for me, I actually have 2 different areas that I focus on. I'll do one. The first, it depends also on that morning. If I've got extra time, I'll do it for longer. If I've got limited time, I still always do this. This is a core habit. I do not give this up no matter what. You know what? If you don't have 5 minutes, you don't have a life. There is nothing you can't be 5 minutes late to. So, every morning I set this up and I'll spend minimum 3 minutes on each visualization, but sometimes I'll go to 5 or 10 minutes on each one. And the first one, I really focus on achieving a key milestone in my business. And then the second one will be something in my personal life that I'd like to achieve. And so what that does, also, this is what I really wanted to touch on, is the reason I say first thing in the morning to do this is because the way that you begin each day sets up the way that you live each day. So visualizing first thing is powerful, so powerful. And that's why, we see morning routines are just, every massive achiever, every leader, every master at their craft, they are all about morning routines because it works. So in your brain, when you visualize something, it's already happened. And naturally, the next step to occur is for it to come about in your physical reality. But now with this, I really want to give you a word of warning, a word of caution. Always be mindful of your thoughts. Thoughts are not benign. Thoughts are things. Thoughts create energy in motion. They create things. So this works both ways. Awesome if you're focusing on visualizing something really powerful, something amazing, something that's going to change the way you're living your life for the better. But it works the other way as well. So what I see, and I see this more with women than men as well, really see this negative bias. And, perhaps it's also the way that we're wired biologically. And I think, and I'll touch on that later on, but it could be something about self-preservation, particularly as we're the female of the species and it's up to us to ensure the survival of the young. So it's up to us women whether human species continues or not, essentially, at a biological level. So if you're constantly focusing on negative things or assuming the worst, and you're feeling that and you're seeing that, then that's what's going to come about in your life. So it's so important when you start to become aware of those thoughts, you've got to snap out of it. You've got to tell yourself, no, I'm not having that. And go, well, you know what? Maybe that happened. But imagine the opposite and be like, well, that doesn't have to happen. It's equally likely that the opposite can occur. So focus on that, and that's what's going to start being created in your life. And how do we do this? What's the actual step? So with visualizing, the most important thing is that it feels good. Okay, it should be feeling amazing. So start your day spending the first 5 minutes seeing yourself achieving, a big milestone in your business. Initially, you could just start with one of your 12-month milestones from your 12-month plan that I'm sure you have for your business. If not, you're in trouble. No, you'd want to be looking to your 12-month milestones, looking at those big goals you've got coming ahead. And let's give an example. Let's say you're a coach and you're currently working full-time in a job, and you want to move to be working full-time in your own coaching business. And so you don't have any clients yet, and your 12-month goal is to replace your current income with the income from your business. So just to make it easy, let's say that's 80 grand you'd like per year revenue in your coaching business. So maybe your 12-month milestone is then to have, let's just say you charge $1,000 a client a month for your services. So you want, by the end of 12 months, you want 8 full-paying clients that you're working with. So you'd visualize what it looks like to work with those 8 people each month and seeing the results that they're getting, and what it feels like when they send you an email or a message or a text and they're like, thank you so much, it was so powerful, the session we covered today, and it's helped me create these results as a consequence of my work with you. So really focusing on the feeling of helping those people and the benefits that your business brings about when you achieve that 12-month milestone. It's really important to go into the feelings and get creative with it. Like, look at yourself, look at what you're wearing, look at the people you're around, the people you're hanging out with, your business mentors, your business coach, and your colleagues that help you achieve that goal. And then step 2 to this is you don't just have to visualize it first thing in the morning. Yes, absolutely start the day like that. But secondly, throughout the day, there are always times where we've got idle time. Instead of, say, listening to some trashy radio station, have the radio off and use that time in the car when you're driving to think about something that you're envisioning, to get creative. And okay, let's say in the morning you're visualizing achieving the 8 clients, the 80 grand a year in your business, and leaving your job to work in your business. Then go to the next step and you can think about, well, how does that affect me in other areas of my life? If I'm focusing on my passion, on what I love, and I get this deep fulfillment from serving these people that I work with as coaching clients, then I'm going to feel so much happier. And hey, maybe that's earning a bit more than what you were earning in your job. And you'd go, well, I'd have a bit of extra income, and so that means I could take my family away on a holiday and I'd be able to fund that. And hey, how cool would it be? I know the kids have always wanted to go to Disneyland. I'd love to take them there. Hey, when we're there, my husband and I could do this. And just get creative with it and think about these beautiful future visions that you have for yourself, for your families. However, keep going big with it. There could be nothing more powerful than that. Constantly plant new seeds and go bigger with it. So step unstoppable self as if. And I really like how, Jim Rohn speaks of the be, do, have philosophy. Really love this one. And this tool. When we're bringing about change in our life in any area, it requires 2 things. Actually, it requires 3 things. And, you can't implement a new skill set, so something that you've learnt, without actually having, and you can't implement it and have lasting change, couple it with neurological change. So the statistics on that are, if you learn something new, you learn a new piece of information, so it's learning about doing something that you're not currently already doing, you've got like a 5 to maybe 7% chance of actually implementing that and bringing in that change into your life. 5 to 7% is pretty rubbish. So if you couple that with neurological change, which is what we're covering in this be, do, have, and also the visualization and all the other steps I'm covering today, then that's going to increase your ability to create lasting change in your life by 6 to 65%. And you can increase it even further again by having ongoing accountability and action. And that's, usually done really well with a coach or a mentor. So I really love the idea of coaching and mentoring for that reason, because it helps you with the skill set learning, the neurological change, and also that ongoing action and accountability. And so the be, do, have philosophy helps us to do just that, to bring in the new skill set, a new way of seeing ourselves, and creates change at the level of the brain neurology. So how does it work? It's simple. So you've got your milestone in mind that we've gone over in step one. Let's use that coaching example. And what the next step is to say, who do you need to be to achieve that milestone? Right? So it's one thing to think about, oh, it feels so good achieving this and achieving that. It's kind of like, this is where manifestation falls short. Where you see people, oh, I'm just going to sit there and picture this happening. That's great. It's a good start, but it's not enough, because you need to couple that with behavioral changes. If you sit there visioning, that $1 million check coming in the post, it's nice. It's probably not going to happen unless you change your behavior. And so that's what this is really focusing on with the be, do, have. So what you do, you firstly look at have. What is it you want to have? So you want to achieve that milestone. So in the coach example, having that 80K revenue in your business each year. What does the lady look like? What does that businesswoman look like who achieves that? What's her state of being? Who does she need to be to achieve that? And then from that place, what would be the actions that would drive that? So another way to look at it, and honestly, when I've discussed this with a lot of people and some of my clients, have been really shocked, because it gets you to look at it from that different angle. So what kind of businesswoman do you need to be to achieve the milestones that you're aiming for? If you've got low self-belief right now, then I could probably bet that at the moment you're not acting like the incredible, successful woman that you're capable of being and that you need to be to achieve those milestones. So it takes a little bit to really, think about this and take some time to contemplate this after this masterclass. So really ask yourself, what does it look like to achieve that milestone? What does that woman look like? What time does she start her work day? How does she dress for work? What systems does she have in place in her business? What support does she have in her business? What kinds of clients does she work with? Who are her coaches, her mentors, the 5 biggest influencers around her? And then looking at if that's the person that you've got to be to achieve that milestone, it's not changing you as a person. It's just stepping into a new paradigm of behavior. Your behavior is not you. Your behavior is changeable. So this is just looking at, okay, what kind of behaviors do I need to demonstrate to achieve that milestone? And then going, oh, okay, I need to take a serious inventory here, because there's a bit of a gap between that lady I would like to be to achieve that outcome. And then it's about taking the necessary action to step into that and take ownership of that and really be that woman that you're capable of. And, the second step with this, I'd say, is looking at your physiology. Have you ever noticed that emotions they've got certain physical characteristics? So if you think right now of someone who's depressed, so just imagine a person who's depressed, how would they be standing? They've probably got their shoulders slumped forward, their heads down, and what's the expression on their face? They're probably looking down, looking towards the ground. The mouth's sort of turned down. They've got a bit of a frown on their face. And that's the typical physiology of someone who's depressed, who's down. And now think of someone, let's say she's a successful businesswoman. And she's just got off the phone she's just had this awesome chat with a great new client, and she's closed a massive deal that's going to completely change the shape of her business. And, she's standing in her office and she's beyond happy. She's ecstatic. And how does she look? She's standing tall. She's got her shoulders back and she's smiling, and her head's held high, and she's looking ahead, maybe just a little bit upwards. Now that is a woman who is full of self-belief. She's feeling really confident. So another way to create greater self-belief is to act as if you have self-belief. Stand strong, hold your shoulders back, have a smile on your face. This is such a powerful tool to use when you're having to network. And it's so incredible, because if you just put a smile on your face, you start to produce endorphins, and then you actually start to feel happy. So with happiness, you can kind of fake your way there a little bit, and those endorphins start to flow, and you start to feel really good. Now, I had this quote emailed to me earlier this week, and I just loved it, so I really wanted to include it here for you guys today. I love this. It's by Mark Anthony. And one day she discovered she was fierce and strong and full of fire, and that not even she could hold herself back, because her passions burned brighter than her fears. And this is the place we get to when we have unstoppable self-belief. And this is why this is so powerful. This is why I'm sharing it with you today. So step 3 with creating unstoppable self-belief: get scared. Okay, another awesome Robin Sharma quote: if you're not scared a lot, you're not doing very much. Every great businesswoman could agree that nothing great was achieved or created without there being fear. And this is a natural human response to change. We're neurologically wired this way. Our brains are wired this way. We've got a very heavy negativity bias. And I think for women, it's also more so because, like I said earlier, biologically, women need to survive. We need to be looking after the babies to ensure the survival of our species. That's what happens at a biological level. You know, this is equal rights aside. Physiologically, the female in the species is there for the survival of the offspring, for the young, and for that species. And we know that the brain, the human female brain, works this way. We have a negativity bias, but we also know there are ways we can use it in our favor, and we can trick the brain to use that for our advantage. And that's what I'm going to go through with you now. So I'd suggest that you do one thing each day that scares you. And again, it's good to do this in the morning. So have you ever, okay, I'm a bit crazy. I like to go swimming all throughout the year, even in the wintertime. So if you've ever been swimming in the ocean in the wintertime, you might have noticed it's pretty cold. You know, you're standing on the beach, take your clothes off, and you're like, oh man, it's really cold. And then you go jump in the water, and it's even more cold. It's freezing cold. But what's really interesting with swimming in the winter is you get out of the water, and by contrast, even though you were just standing in the open air before and it felt really cold, by contrast, when you come out of the freezing cold water, getting out of the water, you actually feel all right. You feel kind of warm, only because it was so much colder in the water. But then, you know, you get home, walk home, have a shower, and it's only a warm shower. It's not even a hot shower. But by contrast, because your body temperature has dropped, by contrast, that warm shower feels hot. So this is really important to notice, because our body doesn't just do this with physiological things, it also does it with fear and with scary things that we do. So science shows us that if you do something each day that scares you, and doing it early in the day, by contrast, everything else that you do feels easier. So basic, but so powerful. So welcome to the cold shower theory. Now, many high performers swear by using cold showers as part of their daily protocol. You know, it doesn't matter what time of year it is, summer, autumn, winter, spring, doesn't matter. Having a cold shower each morning, it does have huge health benefits, but that's seriously a whole masterclass I could go into, which I'm not going to do right now. But also psychologically, having a cold shower first thing in the morning, it shows you that you've already achieved something which was hard to do. So things get easier from there. It also builds mental toughness and resilience. And, you know, it's used by a lot of really high performers, including the Navy SEALs, because they know these benefits. They know it's so powerful. So my second point is that if you're not feeling challenged each day, then you're not going to be growing. And that's something that can scare you and challenge you each day. You know, everything in life is either growing and thriving or stagnating and dying. So let me repeat that. Everything in life is either growing and thriving. You know, think of a plant. It's growing new leaves, new roots, new shoots, and, you know, your business as well. You're growing your customer base. Or if it's not growing and thriving, it's stagnating and dying. So the plant, if it's not growing, it's shriveling up, it's getting smaller, the leaves are dying and browning. Or same with your business. If you're not actively growing it each day, it's starting to decline. And that's the same with anything in our universe. Anything that's still means it's dying. So, when you feel fear arising when it comes to your business, just know that building a successful business takes a lot of internal growth. Your business only grows as much as you do. And that's why it's really important to have a mentor, get a coach, plus having a circle of influence, that strong network around you that supports you. So in those times where fear is high and you're feeling challenged, that's when they've got your back and they're like, yeah, it's cool. It's all right. You've got this. And there are ups and downs, but you're always looking to the bigger picture. So the second thing I would say is to have a clear vision for your business, because this is always going to help you pull through those tough times. Knowing what your 12-month plan is and keeping that in sight, having it somewhere visual. And then that gives you that freedom to know that, yep, there's ups and downs, but you're continuing through those times, and that's what's going to get you to those goals. And by, having something that you do scary each day, by contrast, it's going to make those tough times feel not so bad. Now, step 4 in creating an unstoppable self-belief, it's all about mastering your craft. Being the master of your craft means that you're the best at what you do because no one can do the way you do it. I'm not saying you need to be at an elite level or you have to be the most knowledgeable person in your area of expertise. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying you need to do it the way that only you can do it. Bring your personality and your flair to it, because that is where you're unique. Absolutely, constantly build your skill set and your craft. That's important, but you're not going to just get there one day. And I wouldn't say, oh, wait till you get to master level before you launch your business. Definitely not, because you can already help people now wherever you're at. There's already someone who knows less than you, so you're already an expert to a lot of people. But you've got to be building that skill set in the area of where you offer your goods and services, and that is what makes you invaluable. This doesn't happen overnight, and it's really about consistency. And consistency is the mother of mastery. So consistently learn and consistently upskill in the area of your craft. That gives you unstoppable self-belief. When you're feeling like the master in your own, you know your subject matter inside out, your self-belief is through the roof. You could answer any question. Go to a networking event, someone asks you something, boom, you're all over it. So, you're watching this masterclass because you're someone who's committed to mastery, committed to growing yourself, growing your business. So, I think that's really powerful, and I really respect that you're here today. And as a business owner, it's important to make sure you're never stagnating. And especially when you reach mastery level, perhaps you're already at a point where, you're very knowledgeable in the services and the goods that you offer through your business. But that's also a very dangerous place to be, because that's where most people get there and like, oh yeah, they become complacent. But it's important that no matter what stage you're at in your business, to stay hungry and always be the student. Always, always, always be the student. Even what I'm covering today, maybe you're across some of this or all of this, all of this. Always be listening for what you could take away. What more can you learn? And that's what the greats always do. They're constantly learning. And how you do anything is how you do everything. So even if you're totally across something, always take that role of the student. So, for example, say you're at an industry conference, right? And, maybe they're speaking on a topic that literally inside out. You're so familiar with it. Instead of switching off or, playing on your phone, checking your device or doing emails or whatever, you're there, you're invested. You're invested in your learning and in mastering your skills and mastering your craft. So be conscious, listen to what's going on and ask yourself, what more can I learn here? So that question again, in any situation, even if you think you know the answer, ask, what more can I learn here? This is so powerful, because just asking that question turns on your RAS, turns on that reticular activation system. So your brain starts looking for things that you can learn and how you can get the most out of that situation. So, be listening from a place of it being the first time you've ever heard it. And, without fail, you'll learn something new. You'll pick up something that you hadn't already realized. And maybe you'll learn something that's completely unrelated to the subject matter. Maybe the person presenting doesn't even go as deep as anything that you already know, but it's more about maybe the way they communicate, because you can always learn from that. And that's what I love to do. Whenever I go to any conference or event, I actually do two things while I'm there. Number one, I'm listening to what the speaker says and I take notes on that. I've got my laptop there and I'm tapping away, taking notes on the content. A separate document, I'm taking notes simultaneously on how they're presenting, what I like about how they're presenting, and also what I don't like. And then I go deeper, and afterwards I read over those notes and I think, okay, how can I bring in how they're presenting that I like? All those things that I loved about what they did, how can I bring that into how I speak with other people in my business, whether it's on stage or whether it's one-on-one clients or with colleagues or staff? How can I use that? I really loved how I felt when they did those certain things. And then you can also look at, okay, well, I didn't like when they did those things. Where am I doing that in my business now? Where can I stop doing that? And even throughout my life, how you do anything is how you do everything. So if there's something that ticks you off about that speaker, look at, well, I'm probably doing that somewhere then. If it's irritated me, I probably have that within me. How can I do that differently and learn from it? What system can I create in my business and change in my business so that that doesn't occur in my business? There's always something to learn. So my point with that is there's always something to learn if you go in with the student mindset. And, as a business owner, it's not just the skills of your craft that you need to be across. You've constantly got to be upskilling, business management skills, HR skills, marketing skills, finance skills. Yes, it's awesome to have staff, and yes, it's absolutely you've got to delegate, but you need to understand what you're delegating as well. Because if you're not across some of the latest and greatest things, you don't have to be the master at it, but having an understanding means you're able to better understand the ins and outs of your own business and make sure it's running as effectively as possible. So step 5 in creating unstoppable self-belief is about giving yourself some quick wins to boost your confidence, to give you that dopamine rush. So most people overestimate what they can achieve in a year, and then they underestimate what they can achieve in 5 years. So what typically happens is, we'll set ourselves up, we have a really lofty 12-month goal, but we haven't reality tested it. And so we get to that 12 months and like, damn it, this hasn't happened. This sucks. So, I'm not going to continue with this business, or I'm totally changing the way my business is. But if you actually looked at it and you look deeper, you go, well, okay, maybe I didn't achieve the $1 million revenue that I'd projected for my first year, but hey, I did bring in $250K revenue, which for a startup business is pretty awesome. And looking at the wins rather than what didn't happen, and then if you then looked at over a 5-year plan, you'd see how if you continued on that original trajectory, you would have well exceeded your 5-year goals. This is why I think it's so important to have a clear 12-month strategic plan for your business that you've reality tested. So you break it down into quarterly goals and then, the monthly activities and the 90-day activities that enable you to achieve that and the KPIs that will get you there. And then, reassessing it each quarter, because by going through that process, it helps you to reality check your 12-month goals. And, that's something that's really powerful. I go through that with my clients, and it's one of the most valuable tools that we use. So I think another way of really being able to boost your self-belief is to write down your daily wins. And this comes from a Harvard study that I was looking at recently, and it showed that employees who at the end of each day wrote down their 3 accomplishments, they had greater levels of enjoyment and fulfillment in their roles by comparison to people who weren't doing that. So the study went on to show that when people acknowledge the small incremental wins, then it leads to an overall greater sense of happiness and a sense of purpose and meaning. So, I say this with love and respect. Of course, what you do is up to you, but I know that you're here because you want to achieve mastery and you're ready to really take your business to the next level. So what I would really suggest, which would help achieve that, is each day, the end of your day, write down 3 things that you did really well. So what this does is it turns on that reticular activation system again, helps you acknowledge the small wins, and it reinforces why you're doing what you're doing, particularly when you're working on a big project and you're not going to see a result for a long time. Then it helps you to see the smaller results along the way. Actually, you know what? I'd say take it a step further, and this is something that I do each day. It's a really powerful practice, and I urge my clients to do it too. And that's, always aiming for excellence in my business, not perfection, but excellence. So that's constant, never ending improvement. And you only ever achieve that by having contemplation, and doing this exercise gives you that daily contemplation for, what you did well. But I would actually say, to take it to the next level, first I'd ask, what are the 3 things I could have improved upon today? So that enables you to, again, turn on that RAS to look for things that you could do in your business that will make it even better, and an even better experience for your clients and customers. And then look at, okay, what are the 3 things I did really well, and celebrate those. And then write down your daily plan for the next day. And that only takes 5 to 10 minutes to do that, because you would have done your weekly plan anyway, which taps into your monthly plan, which taps into your quarterly goals. And the power of doing the planning at the end of each day is, it means that when you sleep at night, your brain subconsciously pulls forth information that will help you to achieve what you'd planned to do the next day. Plus, it means you wake up and you hit the ground, ready to run. You're like, boom, I'm on this. I know what I'm doing. I feel really excited. And again, here's another Robin Sharma quote. This just really demonstrates what I've just gone over, that small, seemingly insignificant improvements and innovations lead to staggering achievements over time. And, it demonstrates what I've been going over. And it's really easy to get discouraged about running our business. And, people expect fast results. We're in a world of really fast technology. Things are moving really quickly. Everything's really instant, there's notifications and this and that and stuff's going on, and we expect things instantly. It's not always like that in business, or at least we don't focus on the wins and the things that do go on, that, the string of successes. It takes a string of small successes to achieve a great success over a bigger period of time. So by acknowledging those, you really help build your self-belief. And I think what's really powerful here is to, maybe also keep a list of all your achievements. And this is something that I've been doing, and I find it really powerful. And, big achievements, small achievements, to remind yourself of the things that you've done well. And I keep it for the year. So I've got a year list. And instead of focusing on a to-do list, you can have a did it list that you can reflect on. And then that allows you to look over that over time. And otherwise you'd forget it if you don't write it down. You don't just think it, ink it, because, the shortest pencil is longer than the longest memory. We forget stuff if we don't keep going over it. And you need to keep reminding yourself of your successes, of your wins, and, reflecting on major and minor milestones and the projects and the goals that you've achieved. By doing that, it really reinforces your confidence, and that self-belief muscle grows exponentially. It's really powerful. So just to recap on what we've covered today in this masterclass, 5 steps to creating unstoppable self-belief. It really comes down to step 1, visualization, seeing, feeling, believing yourself achieving those milestones, that big milestone goal. Step 2, acting as if, the be, do, have. Who do you need to be the person who achieves that which you've visualized about? And then aligning your actions with it. Just knowing this isn't enough. You've really got to take that step of then aligning your actions and your behaviors with being the person who you need to be to achieve those milestones you'd like to achieve. Step 3, get scared. Do something each day that scares you. By comparison, it's going to make those painful, hard, fearful things that you've got to do in your business, makes them a bit easier. It's that whole big ugly frog, Brian Tracy's book on the big ugly frog, and doing that hardest thing first in the day, psychologically, it sets you up to make the rest of your day so much easier. And step 4, master your craft. That is so powerful in building your self-belief and the belief around your business, when you know the ins and outs of everything within your business, and being that master, but only in the way that you can do it, because that's what people want. And step 5, set yourself up to win. Acknowledge the small wins. Really focusing on your done it list. Okay, so before we close today, I just want to leave you with one final thought. No, I'm not proposing to you. So building a successful business is like a marriage. we're going for the long game. You know, marriage, it's not something we enter into willy-nilly. It's like 20, 30, 40, 50-year commitment. And just like a marriage, you know, it's not like, okay, how do people meet these days? I don't even know. Like Tinder, okay, you're not going to swipe whatever way on Tinder and then, oh, look, you've got a match. And, oh, yes, let's meet up today. And then you go on a date and then you kiss them that day. And then you take them home to meet your family that day. And then you sleep with them that night. And they propose to you or you propose to them. And then you get married that day. Like it doesn't all happen at that one time. And it's the same with our business. It's a process. And you know, again, there is so many things moving so quickly, technology, everything's so instant these days. We're in a world of instant gratification, but going for the quick wins in business is not going to build your self-belief. You know, building your self-belief, following these 5 steps is what's going to really give you that solid foundation. And going for the long term, playing the long game, really wowing your clients and customers with your mastery is what's going to really build a solid foundation for a successful business. And focusing on those 5 keys to unstoppable self-belief is what's going to give you the confidence to get out there and do that and serve more of your clients and customers in a way that only you can do it. So thank you so much for your time today, and I hope you've enjoyed this masterclass on how to build unstoppable self-belief so that you can get yourself and your business out there and totally rock it. Right? Have an amazing evening or day, whatever time of day it is for you.